Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining our webinar today. Thank you for those that are watching this recorded. Today, we're talking about the power of data, transforming public library operations, and really leveraging data to drive those strategic making decisions to improve the community impact, which naturally lends to higher sense of community. Before we get too far, thank you again to those watching live and recorded. Thank you to our customers, our partners, you, our employees. We also thank everyone else that supported us in this journey. We look forward to working with those that are just getting to know us for the first time. We look forward to getting to know you and have an opportunity to work with you. This webinar today is in a series of webinars that you can watch recorded or live as your schedule fits. These webinars, they don't build upon each other, so they can be watched on their own or individually. You can watch one or more. It doesn't matter. It's really what webinars speak to you. Watch the ones that you desire. So when we think of the role of evolving libraries and what that really means, you think of the information continues to evolve, the role of a public library in the communities that they serve is shifting from that traditional mentality as repositories of books and information. Libraries are now that dynamic community hubs, digital and in person, and offering more things than just lending books, building that sense of community through education, through workshops, for people young and seasoned, everybody and everybody in between. By providing technology, access to those digital resources and those education programs. And libraries are also embracing their role as really a center for lifelong learning, not just one-off, I have a book report for this particular grade, or I'm interested in reading a book because of the weather not being great, or I'm just looking for something different to do. It's really being a central core part of those communities by offering workshops and classes and different even events for individual and professional development. And it's really reflecting a broader understanding of the importance of libraries and really leveraging the assets and the tremendous people and the resources that are at disposal within the library district or the library ecosystem. It's also, when you look at libraries, ensuring that the resources that those libraries are providing are relevant to the needs of their users, not just, well, we're going to try something different. We hope it works and let's see. Well, you need to follow a data-driven approach so that libraries can make those informed decisions, leveraging data. And sure, for library district, you may have 10, 20, 30 or more individual libraries within your district. And those districts are going to serve potentially different geographic, socioeconomic groups of individuals. So not necessarily always having to look at the top level, how does things aggregate up to that higher district level, but also ensuring that each individual library are meeting the needs of its constituents and the communities that they serve, those micro communities within an overall district. You need to gather that data. You need to present it in an actionable or easy to understand means so that you can leverage the data to make proactive and adaptive decisions. That's a lot going on within the evolution of the library. So we at AICG, yes, data is important, technology is important, but it's really prioritizing the needs and use cases of the organization itself. And that's really the motto that our CEO, Christian Screen, has. And that trickles down not only through all of us at AICG, but also to our customers and clients as well. By focusing on and asking those questions, what are we driving towards? How do you know that the investment in technology and analytics is going to pay off or pay for itself? We ask those questions. We also provide well, here's how you can do it, or here's options for not only tracking the data, tapping into the different data systems that you have access to. But then when you combine that data into a central repository and then put analytics on top of that in order to build out a dashboard or maybe do some predictive things, that's really where we're driving that return on investment from those technology investments at the end of the day. It's really providing that true organizational value. And for us, that's all about partnership. It's not transactional. Hey, just go in and build this one particular project, series of dashboards. It's more about let's go on this journey together and let's drive real organizational value. And sometimes that value is through organizational change. Other times that is doing new things with similar or new technology. And I'm Mike Jellin. I'm one of the leaders here at AICG. Many years, many decades of data and analytics experience, especially helping library districts in the public system, and also helping out some private libraries in the higher ed and K through 12 space. When you look at some of the key benefits of data analysis as a whole, that data will help you to better understand your patrons, whether those patrons are one-time users, weekly users, perhaps even daily users, or maybe they're seasonal. And you think of programs that if you have K through 12 within your library or library district, naturally there are certain vacation periods, summer breaks, winter breaks, spring breaks that you may offer additional classes and courses for. But really it's all about that engagement in whether it's K through 12, maybe it's even having other community-based events. If English as a second language is very popular within that local micro community where that library serves, well, then offering English as a second language courses or sessions or events will really draw and engage that local community, but you'll also be serving those individuals by helping them, not just engaging with them. And that's really where that, the public library and that sense of community continues to evolve and continues to grow. And growth is the key part. Are you ready for that growth? Do you have the data and analytics to understand what are those trends? Naturally, trends over time show the pattern, not just within one day, 1 week, 1 month, or 1 year. What are those trends? And comparing your district, your library district to others across the country, similar size, growing cities versus shrinking cities, cities that are changing. How did other cities, what was their evolution in their journey? How do we as an organization, as a library or library district, need to change and evolve as well, but using these peers as those use cases of here are things that we should be doing, what we should be thinking about. And there's a common trend that aligns with all of this, and it is data, leveraging data a lot of this data is already being collected, whether it's online, whether it's at an individual library, people walking through the doors in order to understand foot traffic, time of day, numbers of folks, and what are people looking into or checking out from books, from digital. Is it surfing the internet? Is it looking at podcasts, looking at books? Is it magazines? All these different pieces, are people engaged in different community-based classes? Maybe there's a small fee, maybe there's no fee for some of these classes and community events. What are people doing? The data is out there. We understand one of the challenges is actually collecting that data. Because with that data, you can take demographic information, circulation patterns within your own individual library, your library district, comparing yourself to peers across the country, so that when you look at those trends, that you're able to really shape how you work with your community, how you engage with your community at the end of the day, and the data that supports it. Not just gut feel. I know that that's sometimes easy to do. You can have hunches and then go find the data to support which direction your library should go. Talk to the leaders of those individual libraries, the librarians themselves, and roll up into that larger library district level so that you're able to have those meaningful conversations, having data to help support your case, your argument, to show here's the positive things that are happening, here's areas for improvement, and here's what the benefit would be if we are to improve those things that we know could be better, and how we can do that, how we're going to measure that we're actually improving and making things better. So naturally, when you're engaging with patrons and even engaging with your staff, other librarians, there's a natural evolution to that, where engaging with patrons, through those interactive programs and sharing the user feedback really fosters a sense of ownership and empowerment within the community. And staff feel empowered when they are included in decision-making processes and given opportunities for professional development. You have that sense of purpose. When those patrons see that their interests are reflected in library offerings, you feel a natural, stronger sense of purpose and connection to the library, to that community. Like, hey, you listened to me. I gave input, or there's a group of us, we gave input, and we see that there is a new community event, a new class that's being offered. Perhaps a books with a certain language to them because of just what's going on in that micro community that library serves. When people feel heard, they feel empowered, but it also gives them that sense of purpose. And same with staff. Sense of purpose with staff is you have clear roles and the ability to see the impact of their work on individual patrons, on that library. That is very exciting. It's exciting about working for the library, the impact that library has. And you want to engage those patrons who actively participate in those library activities, because they already have a sense of excitement, but you want to foster that excitement because having and engaging people that are somewhat excited to make them extremely excited also brings along and takes people off of the sidelines that perhaps weren't excited, but they now are excited because they are now further engaged into that library's future. And so then it gives it a confidence in the decision-making itself. Patrons gain confidence in the library's offerings and services when they're engaged and their feedback is heard and acted upon. And naturally, staff in a very similar way. When they're able to grow within their careers, because leadership has listened to their ideas and implemented it, and more importantly, things are working, things are improving, the engagement is higher, patrons are excited. So not every idea is going to be an amazing idea, but there's a lot of ideas that when collaborated on go from a good idea to a great idea. We need the data in order to help facilitate that. And naturally, when you think of how you're delivering more value, you analyze the data, you have constraints on time and budgets. So you have to prioritize. And some of that prioritization is really streamlining your operations, and you have to reallocate resources. That might mean putting more people at one certain time of day or certain day a week because there is more foot traffic. There is a larger interest in community events, or community outreach. And it's a balance because time and money is not unlimited. But at the end of the day, you're trying to enhance that patron experience and that engagement, which then shows the value to the community. And of course, you want this to be a continuous iterative process. You just draw one big circle around this pyramid and say, yes, it is a constant evolution. And the work is really never done. When you think of, yes, we have positive engagement. We as a library district are a positive piece to the overall community. But there's always more work to be done. There's always more things because people are changing, patrons are changing, staff is changing, technology is changing. So naturally, library and library districts, they need to change and evolve as well in a continuous cycle. But there's going to be obstacles along the way. So we have these great ideas and things that we want to do. Yes, we talked about some of the limitations, time and money. There's a natural obstacle there. There's no shortage of priorities and things that could be done. How do you sift through and figure out what's going to have the largest impact? But what if you don't know? How do you break that into smaller A/B testing? You can try some different events on maybe a smaller scale. Offer one class, one workshop. See how it goes. Perhaps is it once a month, once a week for a period of time that you determine, okay, was this successful or not? What's the patron's feedback? What's the staff's feedback? Taking that in and using data to help research some of these problems. And going from, hey, this is the way we've always done it, to let's try something new. But let's try it in a smaller scale. And then making sure you're leveraging the tools that are disposal of a library. If the things that we're coming up with of we're going to do new things and the data doesn't exist because you don't have an application to support it, it's really tough in order to overcome that obstacle. Because naturally, going back to one of the obstacles that a library district has is there are budgets. So just to go out and buy a new tool, that takes time, that takes consideration, that takes a vision, a purpose, a lot of buy-in. So it takes time. But it can be done. And as you're going through, you're going to have micro wins along the way, like aha moments of we learned this was successful. But you want to make sure that you're celebrating those little successes so that people know about it. It's very easy to say within an individual's job, like, oh, that was great. That was good. Well, no, let's shine a light. It could be as simple as just recognizing somebody in a staff meeting. Having that person tell the story of how it came from an idea and turned into success, even if it's micro success. That helps with that empowerment and that excitement. By hearing about the good work and the good ideas that are happening across all the different libraries and library districts across the country. Again, start small. And that's the key piece. Let's not try to do everything all at once. And this is challenging because it's easy to try to bundle in multiple priorities or multiple initiatives all at once that are tackling multiple goals. It's hard to measure and figure out is causation equals correlation or correlation causation? Just weird luck. Hard to tell when everything is just bundled together, because at some point you need to pull those pieces apart to be able to say that offering this workshop, this community event, changing the hours at our library and making more digital assets or different type of digital assets available. Great. We saw an increase of 15% foot traffic last month. Did all those events increase foot traffic onto their own? Maybe. It's hard to measure it if you're trying to do too many new things at once versus breaking those things into small pieces. The key part is involving everyone in the library. When you think of the library staff as a whole, we don't want certain parts of collections versus community events to not be aware of the things that they're doing and think that we're trying and being willing to be brave and vulnerable and to say, we're going to try and offer this new workshop. Here's why we think this is a good idea. Here's why we think the community is going to embrace it. But then to say, we don't have the data yet to say, yes, this is 100% working or will work. We have data and input from another library district in this particular metropolitan area that says they had success doing A, B, and C. We want to now try doing A. And this is what we're going to do. This is why we're going to do it. But here's what we're going to start with. Here's how we're going to measure whether it's successful or not to determine, should we go from small to maybe doing something medium size. But being vulnerable and saying we don't have all of the answers, but we're going to try small, but we're going to collect the data and we're going to come back to you and say, yes, this worked, or we need to run this for a little bit longer because we're not quite sure. Or like, nope, this didn't work. That's okay. But we all learned from it. That's okay too, because that culture of curiosity and experimentation, you have to give people the safe space in order to be able to have that confidence to try some of these new things, but on a smaller scale with a very focused goal at first and build from there. It's very, very key. It's also very hard. You think, oh, starting small, that should be straightforward. No, starting small can be very difficult because you're thinking, oh, I want to roll this out to my entire library or across all libraries within my district. Well, perhaps you need to start at one library or two libraries or three libraries and try something. See how it goes. To be able to say, all right, if you start at 3 libraries within your district, perhaps those are very different libraries because of the neighborhoods that the local micro communities that those libraries serve. That's okay. That's going to give you a larger litmus test of when you go to your other 10, 15 plus libraries within your library district. So naturally, you need to figure out what's your A path forward. And part of that is, where is your library today? Have an honest and open dialogue and actually write down, what are we good at? What are areas that we can improve? And those improvement are, what do patrons say we need to improve? What do we as staff need and want to improve? And a lot of times you go through that list and say, well, it's pretty short. There isn't a lot that we need to do. Well, then that should be a signal to you that, oh, we might need some additional help or some additional insights from someone such as AICG. We'd love to talk with you to say there should be a laundry list that's pages upon pages of things that we can be doing different and better to serve our community, to serve our staff. Feel free to reach out to us. We'd love to talk with you about what that could look like, to use us as a sounding board. And of course, we'd love to see where it goes from there. But thank you for those that joined us live today. Thank you for those that are watching us on replay. We look forward to hearing from you soon. Feel free to reach out to us on our website, social media, or feel free to ping me directly. Thank you. Catch you on the next webinar.